Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Today. We're just 3.5 hours away then from the resumption of IPL 2021. Of course, the 2021 IPL was called off, was suspended after a surge in COVID cases earlier in the year. Now, the second part, with about 30 matches, 31 matches remaining, will be played out in the UAE, and it's going to be a blockbuster clash. Chennai Super Kings versus Mumbai Indians to start off proceedings. But then, of course, we've lined up a very exciting, engaging uh, IPL for you on Sports Today with fans and with super fans. And of course, Boria kicked it off nicely last evening. I have Boria Majumdar with me, but we'll talk a little about this blockbuster clash, MI versus CSK. This match always gives you a lot of talk about Boria, but we're also going to discuss how what this means for players who've been selected in that T20 World Cup squad. Does Rahul Chahar, it's going to be added impetus for him to do well and get as many chances as he can in the playing 11. But first, a word on this game. Boria, MS Dhoni, who will be the mentor for the Indian cricket team in the World Cup, and Rohit Sharma. Many people are talking about him being the heir apparent to Virat Kohli in that T20 setup after the World Cup. So there's a nice little clash there as well. But first off, the last time these two teams played, Kiran Pollard was on fire. Ambati Raidu got runs, 218 runs were chased down on the last ball. This game always has it has that close connection, Boria, with the IPL. It's MS Dhoni versus Rohit Sharma, Chennai versus Mumbai, probably the most sought after rivalry in the IPL these days. Would you agree?
Yes, two of the most successful teams in IPL history, led by two of the most successful captains. And if you actually go down deeper, two of the most tactically well-versed captains with tremendous tactical nous.
Yeah.
So that's the real sort of mouth-watering aspect of this particular rivalry.
Yeah.
Both are extremely solid in terms of their acumen. They have good teams. Unlike last year, Chennai was looking really good. I was reading conflicting reports about Faf. Obviously, the last part of the CPL he did not play, but before that he was in extraordinarily good form for the CPL, and in recent times has been a pivot for the Chennai Super Kings. On the other side, Mumbai did not have that great a first half compared to what Mumbai has, but always Mumbai is Mumbai. And the funny part is, here, Rajoshi, you cannot slow start. Because here it is business end from day one. The moment you lose two, you're gone. Because it's like sort of now you have to start peaking, and within a week, maybe 10 days from now, end of this month, you will have to say, okay, now I'm in the final pedal, last three games, and I've got to close it out and enter the qualifiers, playoffs. So in that sense, there is no chance for any team to really slow start, buck up, make mistakes, then come back. So all of these things are taken out of the window. That actually makes this second half, I think, more exciting. That there is no failure. Nobody will be allowed to fail. For me, this IPL is perhaps the best for the fact that I will be watching closely on all these guys, like you said, the ones who have made the T20 World Cup team. So for me today, Ishan Kishan's batting, because I know Ishan Kishan is being considered as the third opening option, and giving him the license to kill, go, start smashing, X factor, maybe KL can drop down a bit. So there is this thought among the Indian selection panel and also maybe the think tank. Second, you mentioned Rahul Chahar. Is he going to be your first choice? In the absence of UZ, but also Ravichandran Ashwin. How does Ashwin bowl? But today, on this particular thing, I am going to look out for four things. One, how is Ravi Jadeja, the all-rounder, doing with both bat and ball in these conditions? Because if India has to do well, he will have to do a very important job. Number two, does Hardik Pandya bowl 4 overs? India has gone in with one fast bowler shot on the assumption that Hardik Pandya will bowl his 4 overs in every game or almost every game. So is he actually bowling? If he is bowling, what is the pace at which he is bowling? Is he 135, 140 like he was in the past? Is he slower? How is he looking? What is his action? What's his fitness? Because an all-rounder Hardik Pandya gives you that much more balance than simply a finisher Hardik Pandya. I've already mentioned Ishan Kishan. I also want to see how Surya does. He has not played cricket for a while, been with the test team for a while, but Surya will have to play a very important role for India in the World Cup. So all of these factors will be around the periphery today. You know me. I don't care who wins. For me, IPL is festival, fun, great cricket, enjoying the cricket. Whether Mumbai wins, Chennai wins, doesn't matter to me. But what does matter is how is the Indian setup shaping up. And obviously, I want to watch some extraordinarily interesting cricket.
And you also want to watch that those flare-offs on sports today. I'm sure you'll see a lot of that starting at 6 p.m. today when MI and CSK fans join us. In fact, Boria, we will obviously discuss this on our show now as well. We'll probably touch it, and I'm sure there'll be a conflict zone around then. Chennai Super Kings, they're currently placed second on the points table. Mumbai Indians are in the top four as well. But we all know what happened to Chennai Super Kings in the UAE last year. Are they better suited this year? You know both MS and Rohit very well. You know them personally off the field. How is MS going to take that failure? Because that was a grand failure on the part of the CSK management. And then they're going back to the UAE at a time when they were doing so well at home. Chennai Super Kings were brilliant. All their aces were working well. MS Dhoni was super sharp as a captain. Is that going to be a bit of a setback now? Does that work psychologically for that team? How do you see that faring for Chennai? And of course, Mumbai Indians have they're the defending champions anyway.
I think MS has overcome that because he's just too good as a captain to sort of remain in the past. He's overcome that. Ruturaj Gaikwad will be a better bet. That's where Faf du Plessis is so very important. Look at the Chennai lineup and see how many players are in form. Moeen Ali, incredibly good form. Shardul Thakur, tremendous form. Deepak Chahar, great in Sri Lanka. So very good form. All these players are part of the national team. Lungi Ngidi has bowled very well for South Africa in the recent past. Sam Curran in very good form. Faf du Plessis has been in stellar form for his team. MS and Suresh Raina, I'm not mentioning their IPL veterans, can come good any point in time. So if you actually take a look at the Chennai starting lineup, all of a sudden you feel, hey, all of these guys were in good nick internationally, representing their particular franchises. They have been doing very, very well. So look at the bowling attack. The bowling attack, Deepak Chahar, Lungi Ngidi, Sam Curran, Shardul Thakur, Ravindra Jadeja, Moeen Ali. Each is an international star or has been playing for the national team with tremendous amount of success. So MS really has that backing now. Look at the batting. Ruturaj and Faf can give them a really solid start with Suresh at 3. And then you can have Sam Curran floating up, etc. But again, that perennial elephant in the room is where does MS bat? We'll have to see what he does. But all of these things are important calls, Rajesh.
And also, before we go into other facets around this IPL, Boria, just on this match, conundrum again then for Mumbai Indians, Jayant Yadav, his record against left-handers, he's a specialist when it comes to bowling against left-handers. Rahul Chahar, he's also done very well against left-handers. He has a good average, he's picked up wickets, and the Chennai Super Kings lineup has at least 2 or 3 top left-handed batsmen. You're talking of Moeen Ali, Suresh Raina, Ravindra Jadeja, he's expected to obviously pitch in with the bat as well. How do you see that panning out for Mumbai Indians?
Correct. But again, if you see the current form of particular players, Quinton de Kock has been in superb touch. I mean, 250s recently. Surya Kumar Yadav, Ishan Kishan has so much to prove. Rohit Sharma much better off now than what he was earlier with the injury and everything. He looks in prime shape, physically and mentally, all poised to take over the Indian captaincy. Certain things I can't say on the show. But Rohit Sharma in incredibly good mental space. So, the Mumbai Indian side, obviously Kyron Pollard was not Kyron Pollard in the CPL, hot and cold. But this is a different setup, different team, different format, where the responsibility is not so much on Kyron Pollard as leader. So Kyron Pollard also expected to come good. Hardik Pandya, no doubt, will have to prove a lot because, India is going to bank on Hardik Pandya. So all said and done, that's a bomb side. And they have been there, done that far too many times not to be able to deliver. So we will see. It's a cracker of a contest. You are spot on when you set it up. And you mentioned the fan banter. I am absolutely looking forward to that on Sports Today. I have to say this. Yesterday, I was pleasantly surprised at the quality of engagement. It was not amateur. It was thoroughly professional from all these super fans. Look at the kind of knowledge they were showing there. They watch almost every player who part of these franchises in every franchise league in the world. I don't. And I have to confess this. Do I watch all matches of the CPL? No. Do I watch all matches of the English domestic T20 Blast? No. But each of these fans, whether it's a Sanchit or a Johns or a Mufa or a Gargi or a Yuvraj, each of these, Pavan, each of these fans watch every single match here. I mean, I was completely taken aback and pleasantly delighted, let me say this, at the quality of engagement on Sports Today. And that's something I'm going to look at. You and I will be there. But our job will be just to enjoy the banter between these fans. So I'm absolutely looking forward to that.
Right. No, like Boria, I'm also neutral as long as Indian cricketers, especially the younger cricketers, do well. I enjoy myself in the IPL. But last evening was just so refreshing to watch because this game is as much about the players as it is about the fans, and that's what we try and bring you on Sports Today. We've always got you exclusive coverage with cricketers, Olympians, Olympic medalists, and now the IPL is all about fans. Really, the IPL is all about fans as much as it is about the cricketers. But Boria, this is also, you mentioned a couple of interesting things. You said, this will be a reflection of the players on the going into the World Cup as well. You want to see Hardik bowl, how he bats, Rahul Chahar, some of the spinners, but also Virat Kohli, the opening batsman in T20Is. Towards the end of the England series, when there was a dip in form for KL Rahul, Virat did indicate he might open the innings with Rohit Sharma. But now, when you say Ishan Kishan, the third opener, I'm assuming it's Rohit, Rahul, and Ishan. KL Rahul's fortune has turned around dramatically after that. Runs in ODIs, runs in Test cricket, superb series in England. Do you see Virat Kohli making that case for himself, as the opening batsman? How is that set up now in the Indian team with Virat Kohli already relinquishing his captaincy after the World Cup? How is that set up? Will he push for that opening slot in the World Cup? How is he shaping up in this IPL?
See, as a captain, he's still the captain of this World Cup T20 team. There's no debate, right? He's the captain going into the World Cup. And if he wants to, he can. I mean, obviously, as a captain, he will be the one responsible on the field. But from what I know from the selection meeting, what I know from the BCCI, what I know from all my sources, the answer is no. Virat will bat at where he bats in the middle order. And the three openers they have selected are the three that you mentioned. And I'm making it very, very clear. Virat's not an opener, at least in the mind of the selection committee going into the World Cup. It is Rohit, Rahul, and Ishan. In fact, Shikhar Dhawan was overlooked because the thought was that you will not win T20 internationals if you play conservative cricket. Dhawan's a great player, but at this point in time, the flair, the X-factor aggression of Ishan Kishan was preferred, and it was thought that he will, be this fearless kind of attacker at the top of the order. They will unleash Ishan Kishan. That's how they have thought, and that's how the team has been selected. Will Virat push himself up? We've got to wait and see, but at least at the start, the philosophy with which they are going in is exactly what I've just outlined to you.
Right. And it's also the fact that the spinners, we've discussed on the one of our previous shows when the team was announced, which batsmen almost pick themselves. And of course, it depends on conditions and of course, the attack that they're playing against. But it's also going to be a bit of an eye opener for the spinners. Boria, 5 spinners in this World Cup squad, big rounds, and a lot of teams, in fact, around the world have also stressed on the need to add good spinners. You have Sri Lanka, Pakistan, a lot of that. This is an IPL where you'd want to see how the spinners are working, because by the end of the IPL, the pitches probably you'd expect them a little drier because it's only going to get warmer with the exposure to the pitch under the sun. It's going to add to the luster there. The spinners in the World Cup as well.
I agree. And they will have a massive role to play. I can tell you, I have spoken to a lot of former greats, some of the greatest of the game. I've spoken to a lot of the current players as well. Everyone's thought is that tired wickets and bigger grounds, and everyone say this to me, that bigger grounds are a far more important proposition. You can't clear. Even if you try, you will not be able to clear with big hits all the time. So the spinners will come into play, and especially skillful ones like a Ravichandran Ashwin, a Rashid Khan, these kind of guys who are top quality spinners will come into play and will have tremendous impact. That's why they've picked up an Akshar Patel. That's why they've got this 5. They've got a Ravi Jadeja, an Ashwin, an Akshar Patel, a Varun Chakravarti, or a Rahul Chahar. So India has given itself all the kinds of spin ammo that you can possibly dream of. So we've got to see who they go with. But my point is they should go with someone who has the ability to bowl in the power play and also in the death. And 2 people come to mind straight up. 3, Ravichandran Ashwin, tremendous skill. Can he do that? He's done that in the past also for Delhi. Ravindra Jadeja has done that, and so to a degree has Varun Chakravarti. So that's how I can see. I mean, will they sort of push Varun Chakravarti because of the uniqueness factor? They can. But I want to very closely watch how the spinners shape up this IPL. Not so much in Sharjah. You will not understand anything from the performance in Sharjah. Where you will understand is the bigger grounds, which are the grounds where the T20 World Cup will be played.
Yeah. Now, Sharjah, what you get to understand is which batsman really just settles in, right, and just make the most of a good start there. But Boria, before we go, we'll want to talk to you about fantasy as well. How people are, because there will be lots of people interested in Boria Majumdar's take on building those fantasy teams. But also, the thing about the IPL is these are unprecedented times. Bio bubbles, COVID protocols. This tournament is being played here just a few days after the IPL final. The World Cup gets underway with the qualifying matches. Of course, India versus Pakistan later in October. A lot of hype around that. But imagine this. People say you don't want to expose too many of your players before a big tournament, but this is ideal. You're playing a highly competitive T20 league before the World Cup. I mean, teams couldn't have asked for better preparation. And do you think that sort of throws up more probables and more favorites for the World Cup than you'd ever see before? Do you think this World Cup could be the most open T20 World Cup just because of the fact that it's being played before after the IPL?
It will be the most open T20 World Cup. There's no question. Because if you see the teams, any team can beat any team. If anyone thinks that Pakistan is a weak team, for example, he or she is being stupid. I mean, if you look at the teams, the West Indies, look at the firepower in that West Indies team. Look at England, look at Australia, look at Pakistan, look at New Zealand. Even Afghanistan with their multiple spinners will have their day and beat some big team on their day in a condition like this. So it's not easy for any side. Any side. India has a great team, obviously. But to say that, okay, so-and-so team is favorites going into this competition will be like, you are actually trying to say, I will get into a tiger's cage, put a garland around the tiger and come out unscathed. It's not easy, boss. I mean, you can't say that so-and-so team is a favorite in a team. All you need is a 40 ball 70. Khatam. You need a 4 over spell, 17 runs, 3 wickets. Finished. And every team has players who can do that. Every team, if you look at every team, South Africa, Quinton de Kock can do that. Aiden Makram can do that. Tabraiz Shamsi, the best in the world at this point in time. Rabada Nokia and Lungi Ngidi, South Africa. West Indies, Kyron Pollard. Look at how Evan Lewis performed in the CPL. See the level of talent. See a Shimron Hetmyer. You know what the West. Obviously, I mean, if the old war horses. West Indies is one of the best T20 units. Look at England. Everybody, I mean, they will thrash you. Some of those English players, despite the absence of a Stokes and all, they'll thrash you, man. I mean, they're that good. Look at Australia. David Warner and company will have a lot to prove. Look at India. I mean, look at Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan and some of the stars, Shaheen Afridi, Hassan Ali from Pakistan. So you know that this T20 competition will be incredible. And the IPL will set it up. The IPL is the best franchise league in the world by a country mile, and it will set up the world T20 quite beautifully. You will know who's in form. You will know who's the X factor. So you will start to keep an eye on particular players. That's why it will be so good to watch.
Right, and Boria mentioned some of the Pakistan stars. They are not playing in the IPL, but they have played more cricket in the Middle East than a lot of these other teams, because that's been their home now for the last 13 or 14 years. Boria, before I go to your take on fantasy for today, a couple of questions from Arnab Kundu. He's asking, do you think, keeping in mind the T20 World Cup, a few overseas international stars may not give their 100% due to the risk of injury? That's the first question.
No. IPL is not a B grade or a C grade para tournament where you will hide yourself in the field and not give you 100%. You are being played top dollar. Now think about it. A Champions League final happens 2 weeks before the Euros. Did you see some player holding back in a Champions League final? Did you see the clubs not giving their 100% in a Champions League final? Will you ever think that that is even probable or possible? That, because the Champions League this year was just before the Copa, right? Just before the Copa, just before the Euros. Did you see a Cristiano or a Messi or anybody, any of those top guns holding back in a Champions League encounter? No. The IPL is top flight cricket of the very highest pedigree. Nobody will hold back. And if you hold back, people will catch. Fans like you, fans like super fans will catch. I mean, you have the trained eye now to understand if somebody is bowling 100% or not giving 100%. I don't think that's going to happen.
Right, absolutely. And there's the pressure. There's the pressure, like Boria said, the IPL, there's a lot more at stake. The owners and the captains will really not take it very pleasantly, or not if that were to happen. I hope that has answered your question. Boria, another one for you, Ritik Raj. Boria, will Rohit be able to switch gears considering he was so engrossed in Test match cricket in England?
He's one of the greatest of our time and one of my favorites of all time. I mean, as I said, there are certain things I can't say, but I know what amount of effort this fellow has put in to become what he is in all formats. So the flat answer to that question is an overwhelming yes. We've got to wait and see for a performer, but in terms of ability, potential, mental strength, discipline, and commitment, unreal.
Right, and then your take on fantasy cricket, Boria. How many of your team will have Mumbai Indians and over Chennai Super Kings players? What's the composition?
I've actually gone with a 6-5 just for today because I don't know for Faf. If Faf doesn't play, it's a 7-4. So I've gone with Quinton and Ishan, and then Rohit and Surya and Ruturaj. If Faf plays there, I get him there. And then I've gone with a all-round ability for the Chennai Super Kings with a Moeen Ali and a Ravindra Jadeja / Sam Curran. For one of my teams, I've gone with Hardik. That's how the middle order, the all-round ability shapes up. And then the bowling department has Jasprit Bumrah, Trent Bolt. And in one of my teams, because I've gone in with the Mumbai Indians top order, I've left out Deepak Chahar and gone with the Shardul Thakur. Where I've gone in with the Faf and Ruturaj both and left out Quinton de Kock, I've gone in with the Deepak Chahar, assuming that he will strike. So those are my permutations, combinations for fantasy for today.
Right. Brilliant team that. Then Boria, we've lined up a lot on sports today. Of course, you will get Boria Mojumdar's take on fantasy cricket. You'll see all of the super fans in action. Boria and I will just sit back. We'll just start off the shows and we'll just sit back and enjoy the fun. Boria, might as well get some coffee and popcorn and just listen to these super fans. It was very passionate yesterday. It's very passionate. It was obviously dignified, but it was there's a lot of passion and a lot of fire. But that's the underlying factor. Dignified debate. You disagree. Boria and I often disagree with on some aspects, but there's always a lot of dignity and camaraderie. At the end of the day, it's cricket, it's sport. We want to enjoy it, and it's a relaxing, nice Sunday, prepping up for the IPL. And like Boria said, it's the way we started off with this show was it's some of the teams might be looking very strong, but fortunes can really dip very, very quickly in T20s, especially in the IPL long tournament. There's still one half remaining to be played out. Thank you so much for joining us. Boria, thank you as usual for your fluent views and your take on fantasy cricket. Do join us back again. We'll be both back with the super fans at 6 p.m. building off for the mega blockbuster Chennai Super Kings versus Mumbai Indians taking on to start off to resume IPL 2021. Thank you so much. Do subscribe to Sports Today. Have a very, very good afternoon.